Welcome to the workbench, everybody. Today we're going to take a much closer look at my scratch-built, kit-bashed jalopy locomotive and talk about some ways that you could start making your own locomotives. So I got into making my own trains because of watching the YouTube channel Thunder Mesa Studio with Dave Meeks modeling and creative projects. So if you haven't checked that out, I highly recommend that you go check out that channel. If you search for his video on his ON18 locomotives, you'll definitely see the aesthetic inspiration for this first one that I've been working on. So why do people scratch build model locomotives? Why don't they just buy ready to run locomotives? Well, there's a couple reasons. The first might just be model manufacturers don't make the trains that they're interested in having. That's not really the case with me. My interest in model railroading is in telling my own story, creating my own story. So I don't really have any interest in owning trains that ever existed, that are from, the history of railroading. I want fantasy, MacGyvered together, jalopy trains made of wood and rusted steel that are, off in use by a small group of people doing whatever job. But they're very high in character. They're very fantasy oriented. That's what I want to be modeling, what I want to be making scenery for, that type of thing. And in addition to that, the subject matter of the train, the joy in this hobby for me comes from the making. So I want to make every part of it that I can with my two hands. I have very little interest in collecting model trains. I don't want to buy manufactured model trains. Basically, what we're looking at here with the locomotive that I've shown a few times in videos is the mechanism, the chassis, from an existing manufactured model train that I removed the shell from and made my own out of modeling plywood. I used design software and a laser cutter to make the parts, and then I painted and weathered and put it together with Eileen's tacky glue and a toothpick. A lot of this I learned from, again, Thunder Mesa Studio, watching those videos. Now, do you need access to a laser cutter to build your own train like this? Absolutely not. Of course you don't. You could do, with enough time and creativity and the right materials, you can do this with an X-Acto knife, some scale modeling lumber, some cardstock, whatever materials you have on hand that you can get creative with, you can absolutely build your own version of this. Here I've started building a deck for another mechanism out of matchstick wood, right? So yeah, you absolutely don't need a laser cutter. I just happen to be talking about this project in which I'm using a laser cutter. So let's take this guy apart and look at what's going on. We have our wooden shell on top of the chassis, and then we have some parts from a plastic modeling kit. The boiler here, I'm just going to take it right out. So I got that from an HO scale plastic locomotive model at my local hobby shop. It was ancient and had probably been through a few owners, and I got it for a few bucks, I want to say. I have the rest of the kit downstairs, and I'll probably use those for some other project. So we'll set that guy down. Now it's sitting inside the model just on some wooden blocks that I have in there to keep the boiler at the height that I want. And then you can see right down in, and you can see the mechanism. So this shell just slides right on there. See if I can remove it without, there we go. There we go. So this is really all there is to the mechanism. You've got a motor here on top and a plastic chassis, and then you've got your steam engine moving parts. To begin making something like this, I start here with the blank chassis and my calipers. So I go around and take measurements of the motor that's protruding from the top of the chassis, the length, right? And the width. And then any of the pieces that are jutting out from it that I need to account for. I make a flat deck that will slide over these parts, right? And give me a flat platform to build a locomotive on top of. So this deck right here, you know, with its boards and this kind of cross-shaped cutout, that's the first thing that I build. And then that slides directly over the mechanism, and then I'm free to build the locomotive on top. So in this case, I kit-bashed an existing model locomotive, and that was a Bachmann HON 30 Rheneas. So this is a Thomas model. I don't care about Thomas at all, but the ratio of this locomotive was perfect for what I was looking for. It's narrow gauge, it's short and chunky, and definitely within the character that I was going for. So I purchased this, and this model is great for being a platform for something like this, because underneath you literally just need to remove a couple of screws and this shell slides right off and you're left with the mechanism. You know, a fun part about using this is that you get these moving parts from the steam engine, but if for a project like this, you know, it's kind of expensive. I think that this model can be had for between $90 and $120. So to spend that much money to take it apart and use just a mechanism is kind of a bummer, but I appreciate this mechanism and its moving parts, and I really like this train that I've got in progress so far. This is very much still in progress. I'm going to do some detailing and whatnot to finish it off. And then another option and a second train that I've begun working on is not to take an existing model and take it apart, but to purchase a blank chassis that's ready to go for a project like this. So this is a Kato mechanism, a Kato N-scale chassis. So I purchased it just like this, brand new. I believe I got it on Amazon. And I want to say this was like $20. So same deal here. I'm taking measurements of the motor and the top pieces, and I'm building deck to go on top of it to build a new model. So this guy is just going to slide right on top, line everything up. There we go. And we're ready with a flat deck to build on top. I might get a vertical boiler and build, I don't know, some kind of tram, or maybe I'll make this into a diesel. Who knows? But you could get your hands on one of these and build a flat deck for it and make yourself whatever you want. Thanks for watching.